Hello and welcome to my second live stream. So I've decided to try StreamYard and see if we can do some other bits with the stream, make it a bit more interesting perhaps. I've also had some bad news, which is that my last video has undergone demonetization because of copyright. Somebody's trying to claim that the modem sound at the beginning is theirs, which is interesting. So we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, you're not here to hear about that. Instead, you're here to hear about this. So it's been an interesting week using a dumb phone, and there's quite a few things that have made it interesting. So the first thing I discovered was you have to import your contacts onto your SIM. I mean, that's a proper schoolboy error, if you ask me. But it wasn't so obvious until I put my SIM card in and discovered I had no contacts, popped it back in my Android phone and discovered that you can't add them. So I had to download some software to allow me to move contacts across to my SIM. So that was a little bit of a pain. That done though, I've now been successfully able to call and text and all the other things that we need to do with phones. The second thing that happened to me was the day after I arrived at work, and while many of my important bits for work are stored on here, not all of them are. And I was working in a place I don't work very often and needed my password. So as we all know, passwords are a right pain to remember, and we all have so many of them, it's a bit ridiculous. So this particular password was being stored on my phone, which of course I didn't have. So yes, you can imagine how that panned out. Eventually, I did manage to remember my password, which was good. So that was helpful. And I managed to log in, and I've since written it down on my Psion 2, which is what I've been using this week. The other thing that happened the first day I didn't have my smartphone was I went to work with the full intention of taking a photo of my phone and my Psion together and seeing and then sending a community post. But of course, I couldn't actually do that. Sorry, excuse me a moment. So I couldn't actually do that, obviously, but it hadn't dawned on me at all until I went to try and take a picture that, of course, I didn't have a camera with me, only this quarter VGA one on here. And of course, I can't take a picture of the phone on the phone. That doesn't work. I guess with a mirror or two, that might work. But yeah, I couldn't do that, of course. So yeah, interesting initial couple of days. So since last Monday, in fact, I haven't actually done any scrolling on Facebook, on Instagram, or on YouTube, or just none of this mindless scrolling. I'm a bit old for TikTok, so yeah. And it has been interesting. I do think that not having those constant notifications, only being able to check my emails when I get home, has meant that I've got a little bit more mental space, which has been really good. And so I've got a little bit more mental space, and it makes things less important. It's not as important that I respond to things urgently, and people know that I'm not going to, because most of them know that I'm operating a dumb phone. I've had a few surprised people when they've received a text, because they don't normally receive texts. And texting itself has been interesting because it's quite slow. Using a T9 input, I seem to think back in the day I was quite quick at it, but I am definitely not quick now. And I did know people who could text without even looking at the phone. It was quite something to see, but that again isn't something I can do. So it's been quite slow. This has meant that I'm much less likely to message people unless I actually need something or want to convey some information, just because it's time consuming more than anything else. So yeah. So other things that have happened this week. So this is a refurbished phone because I decided I wouldn't buy new, and I didn't want to unlock the ones I'd got because it didn't seem to represent value for money. But then I'm starting to wonder if this does. So the battery in it was measuring there's a battery indicator at the top, and as you saw in the community post on day 3, I think the battery indicator was still completely full. So no shock. I think there could be an issue with the battery that came with it because it stayed full until Saturday, and then it just died. So that means that I've got no idea just how much battery I've actually got, although it did nearly manage a week. Now, it just happens that I have another Nokia phone that takes exactly the same size battery. So I've swapped the battery for that one. And this time, the battery indicator after a day is saying that we've dropped a little bit of charge. Let me just get that in focus. There we go. You can see the battery indicator is like 90%-ish. So I'm hopeful that this battery is going to be a little bit better and is going to give me some warning before it dies. But we'll see about that. Otherwise, it might mean that I need to get a new battery, but I'd rather not spend any money. So a couple of things have happened this week. I went to go and play underwater hockey with my brother. So he was driving as my car's been at the garage, and we'll come back to that in a moment. So underwater hockey it's also called octopus. It is literally hockey in a swimming pool. You have a short bat, pair of fins, polo hat to protect your ears, mask and snorkel, and we use a lead puck surrounded in bright orange plastic to stop it damaging the tiles, and you dive down and flick it around. And rules are basically the same as normal hockey, it's just that it's underwater. So we set off to underwater hockey. Brother picks me up. Now, my brother is a little unusual in that he doesn't use data on his phone. He never does. He has a smartphone, but he doesn't use data at all. He puts his Wi-Fi on when he's at home, but he won't use it when he's out of the house. And that's fine. And do you know what? Maybe that's not a bad way to go. So we arrived. I got to the car. We set off, and partway there, he said, just pop the address in the sat nav. And I was like, well, I can't. I haven't got my smartphone, which he knew about because I told him I was swapping to a dumb phone. And then he was very frustrated by having to use his phone, and he didn't even have the GPS turned on. I had to turn that on as well as turning on the data. And so, yeah, just a surprise that I didn't have a sat nav. He just expected it. And I guess we do. We take it for granted. We all have them in as pockets these days. So, yeah, so that was interesting. I have been using my Navman sat nav. It works perfectly well. Actually, it's fully updated. So it does appear to have all the roads, even some of the newer ones. So I'm quite happy with that. But there's no live traffic updates. But as I said before, I can live without that. So this phone perhaps wasn't the best choice, and maybe I should have spent a little bit more time deciding what I should go with before I actually made the jump and bought this. So Mike suggested that we should use personal area network to set up like a Bluetooth personal area network, and that way I could use another Palm Top, one of the Windows CE devices, or one of the later Palm OS devices with Bluetooth to use it for basic web access, and that'd work great. But it turns out this model doesn't have any Bluetooth. I know that's absolutely bonkers. Like, who's not putting Bluetooth on a phone? Nokia. So the second thing is obviously the other option in terms of accessing the internet other than via this tiny screen, which I might show you next week. It is just horrendous trying to use it for the internet. So the other option in terms of going online would be Wi-Fi. Guess what? No Wi-Fi. So this can't connect another device to the internet. I can't tether it or do anything else, which is slightly frustrating. So for the moment, I'm just going to live without internet access on other devices from my phone. But yeah, if you've got a good option for a feature phone that's got either hotspot or Wi-Fi, and ideally, WhatsApp, please do message. I would like to know. Because this just it just doesn't cut it, to be perfectly blunt. So yeah. So I'm currently in StreamYard, as you can tell, and I'm not sure, but there's nothing popping up in the chat. So either nobody's putting anything in the chat or there is nothing in the chat. So I'm not really sure which. I'm just going to hop into my YouTube and have a look, because if there are messages, I would like to speak to people about it. Let me just find that. YouTube Studio. My videos. Live. That's fine. I can't tell anyway. Whatever. Yeah, if you have sent a message and I've not responded, oh, there is a message. Oh, so I can do this. Oh, there we go. LJ, thank you. I'm glad you like the channel. That is very much appreciated, and it's nice to know that somebody's watching. Also, Yeet Y, I've seen your message from the beginning. I've responded, of course. So thank you for that. Good. Glad to know we're actually somewhere on here. So I have been using my phone a bit. It's not left the house, so don't think I'm cheating, but I've been using it a bit like you would a tablet in the morning for reading the news and checking the weather and just things like that. Now, if you consider it cheating, let me know. But otherwise, I think that's acceptable, because what I'm not doing is using it to scroll through endless videos on TikTok or read loads of WhatsApp messages and things like that. Instead, all of those things have been put onto my computer. So I've been checking my WhatsApp, my email, and my Messenger messages just in the evening and responding where appropriate. And honestly, I think it's a much better way to go. The idea of instant communication is excellent, and we all appreciate it at times. But having that ability to just shut it all off and deal with it in a very short period of time, just 5 minutes, 2 minutes here, whatever it might be, just to browse through all the spam emails that you get, because most of it's just junk, and go through the WhatsApps that are important and respond where appropriate, but not to have it constantly going off during the day, I think is genuinely a good thing. So I am pleased with that. My plan is to continue using my feature phone for at least a month. Now, I'm not sure if I'll do another live stream in between or whether I'll wait until 1 month and watch the community page. It'll depend a lot on how many things I come across that are an issue or problems that can be solved or things like that. And just shout out to Paul Walker. Thank you for your message. I'm glad you appreciate it. Shout out to Sarah the Strange. Seems like a fine line. It does. It is interesting. Yes. So obviously, when I'm sending a text, I've still got instantaneous communication, and I'm not waiting until the end of the day to respond to text messages or send them or anything like that. Texting is not very efficient for organizing group activities, and that is a minor inconvenience because I am attempting to organize a trip out to a beer festival in a few weeks' time. And with that in mind, texting people about it is very inefficient, unlike using WhatsApp and just pinging it into a group of people, adding a bunch of names. So you can do a group text, but what it does, it texts everyone, and then individuals text you back. It doesn't text everyone in the group like it does on WhatsApp. And so that is inefficient, but that's fine. It's just one of those small compromises to live with, and do that in an evening. The only other thing really this week that I've come across is loyalty cards. So I went to Tesco's earlier, which is a supermarket, for those that don't know. And Tesco have a loyalty card scheme, and they do a lot of discounts based on whether you have one of their loyalty cards or not. And I kind of resent it, because when I look at these things, I think, well, why is it cheaper if I've got a loyalty card than not? And then I feel like, if you've not got your loyalty card, you're missing out. If you do, what's the deal? But the long and the short is, the application for it is on your smartphone now. There's no actual card. You don't get a card with a barcode to scan. And so when I went to the supermarket, of course, I didn't have my smartphone, so I didn't have a barcode I could scan. I didn't have the app to log in or anything like that. And the screen resolution on here isn't high enough, and the camera resolution definitely isn't, to take a picture of the barcode and then scan it at the till. That's never going to work on here, not in a million years. So I'm considering, with that one in particular, whether I either take a photo of it on the screen and then print it out and stick it in my wallet, because I could actually just glue the barcode to a card, or whether I scan it. I don't know if it's scanned. That's the other option. But yeah, loyalty cards. I also went to fill up, and the Shell petrol station have a loyalty scheme, which I normally do. But again, I didn't have my smartphone, so I can't do it. And it's not a card. It's like an app, and you have to be live on the app at the time in order to get your points. So I've probably lost, I don't know, 5p. It's neither here nor there, I guess, but it is frustrating. And a lot of us use loyalty cards for all sorts of things, and a lot of them now are electronic, and they go on your phone, or they sit in your Google Wallet, or however you might do it. So I've had a few funny looks from people if I've been talking on my phone. I do get a few funny looks because people just expect you to have a smartphone. So what's that? Oh yeah, Becky says, yes, if you get logged out. Yeah, that happens. So that's true of the so Becky points out that a lot of the rewards are app-based now, and it's very frustrating because when you get to the till or the checkout or whatever, you've then got to log in. And if you've forgotten your login, you're absolutely stuffed. Or if it logs you back out once you've logged in, that's just a bit of a pain. And that's true for quite a lot of loyalty schemes, actually. The KFC have a loyalty app. I'm a big fan of KFC, and yeah, that's on your phone. And again, you have to log in to use it. You can't. It's not. Will you change the camera? She's terrible. Oh, what's that? Hi. When will you change the camera you use? She's terrible. Oh, are we not liking my camera? This is the Sony ZV. It's quite a good camera, actually. Perhaps it's more an issue with my lighting than the camera. Oh, or it could be because I'm trying StreamYard and it limits me to 720 rather than full HD. So it could be that. I'm not sure I'm enjoying StreamYard, if I'm honest. I'm thinking I might actually go back to streaming off YouTube next time I do this, or find a different streaming application. But yeah, so I don't think it's my camera. Hopefully not. What's that? We've got another Starfish. Oh, Sailfish OS. That was mentioned last week. Yeah, is Sailfish OS the one that can use WhatsApp as well? I think it might be. Oh, somebody else has said the camera's okay. Thank you, LJ. Yeah, I'm not sure if it. When I look back at the stream later, I'll have a look and compare it to the previous ones, and so we'll see what it says. Talking of which, I had some bad news this evening. So yeah, my last video isn't going to be monetized, because apparently the modem sound that I use at the beginning is now somebody's attempted to copyright it. So they've not put a full copyright claim, but I'm apparently not allowed to use it. That's going to be awkward, since it's on the beginning of every video I've ever made. Oops. Somebody else says the camera looks good. The quality of the picture looks like it was taken on a calculator. Okay, fair enough. I can't say why. I thought it looked okay, but maybe it's my lighting because the camera obviously it's sensitive to the light. Doesn't matter. What have we got here? Never used WhatsApp myself. Yeah, I thought you could do it on Sailfish. If you really need to, though, with LXC containers. Okay, I'll have to have a look at that. My understanding was, so they used to do WhatsApp as a Java application, so all phones pretty much could have WhatsApp. And then when they introduced end-to-end encryption, they didn't keep up with the Java application. They just couldn't be bothered. And I think ultimately at that point in time, financially, it probably only accounted for a very small amount of what they were doing. And so they just abandoned it for dumb phones. Prior to that, there were issues with the way the server ran in Windows Mobile, but yeah, apparently it's all to do with Java. So, late to the party. Hi, Mike. How do you copy it? Yes, well, yes. I mean, it's just a modem sound, so I don't see that it can actually be copyrighted. So I am just going to dispute the claim because, as far as I'm concerned, that sound is public domain. It's not even the same as the sound he's used. It's the same tones, but mine's got a lot of white noise over it, mainly because I took it from somebody else on YouTube who had it up as free distribution, and I messaged them and asked them if it was okay to use, and they said yes. So yeah, but I don't see that you can copyright a modem sound. So we'll see. We'll see. It's not even a very good music video, if I'm honest. I think they've probably just done it because they can. We'll see. But yeah, that is a bit frustrating because it'll mean removing the intro from all my videos if I'm not careful, which isn't something I want to do. Yeah, so that would be a real pain. So I want your opinion on this. So when I was out last week at work, I borrowed my colleague's phone so I could Google the number for the garage. Okay. And she said that was cheating because I didn't do it on my dumb phone and I did use a smartphone in order to do it. So, what do you think? Is that cheating, or is it okay that I've got a dumb phone and borrow somebody else's if I do need the internet for something to Google something? I mean, you can Google on here. It's just it's a very small screen, and it's not great. I'll make a short video of what it's like to try and use the internet on here, and we'll put it up on the next live stream, whenever that might be, just so you can see what it's like, because it really is quite something. It reminds me of the old days of using a WAP browser, perhaps not quite as bad, but not far off. So yeah, so my takeaway is, so far, no major issues apart from when my battery died, which I think is because it's a refurbished phone and the battery was probably rubbish. Other than that, texting is slow, so I'm doing less of it. I've had a lot more time to do other things. In fact, I've been very productive. And while I've been using my Giannata 728 and my Scion 2 as my go-to this week, I will be having a change from next week because my upcoming video is on this bad boy. So yeah, we're having a look at Sony's first Sony Clié, the S300, which is very cute, I have to say. I think the purple colors were a bold choice at the time, but yeah, it's a very nice little device. So I shall start using that as my daily for the moment. Somebody's just asked what model the phone is I'm using. This is the Nokia 110 4G version. Actually, what's slightly weird is, although it includes a camera, it's not as good as this much older Nokia. I don't know what number this one is. So ignoring the camera, this is basically the same. It's got the same key layout. It's got the same size screen, but it's quite a bit smaller and it's quite a bit thinner. And this is the 1037. So this, I believe, is only a 2G model and it's locked to Tesco at the moment. So I'm going to try and get it unlocked. So yeah, but I think that seems a better phone. And this one also has Bluetooth on it. So I might be able to set up a personal area network, which I can't on this newer one. So yeah, the Nokia 110. So I'm not recommending it. I think there are probably much better phones out there. And I wish I'd done a bit more research before I started on this, and then perhaps I would be able to do more. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I found myself wasting an awful lot of time scrolling mindlessly through videos, scrolling through Facebook, not productive, didn't find it useful. And also, as I said last week, I'd already turned off a lot of the notifications on my smartphone because they were driving me bananas slowly. And definitely, every time you get a notification and wipe it away, it's just a little bit more mental energy gone. Pew, pew, pew. So yeah, I mean, having ditched it for a week, I've quite enjoyed the freedom. That is inconvenient at times, I must admit. But yeah, I think it's certainly been worth doing. So my intention is to carry on for at least another 3 weeks with my dumb phone. Probably this one. I'm not going to buy a new one until I've at least decided I'm going to keep it. So I will do another live stream. I might do one in between if lots happens. Otherwise, I will probably do one in about another 3 weeks' time. So it'll be a full month that I'll have been wandering around with this Nokia brick instead of a smartphone. Got a comment. Yes, you can't get hacked is the simple version of what you just said. And you're absolutely right, Mega Nerd. Yeah, you're not about to get hacked on your dumb phone. Nobody can access your banking details on here because you can't bank on here. Nobody can access your emails or any other personal information. There just isn't any other than a few contacts. So yeah, I think that's useful. Yeah, local X, I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. I perhaps don't have the same willpower as you. And so while turning off all the notifications and applications, that's fine. But yeah, I still just found that I would pick it up constantly just to have a look to see if there was any notifications. And then if there weren't any, I would often then hop into Facebook or hop onto whatever just to, yeah. So that's why. Mega Nerd, always watching the Risk V scene. Nice. Yes. That's is that a quote from Hackers? If it is, kudos. If it's not, my bad. But yeah, that's a bit of a blast from the past. A bit of early Angelina Jolie. So I think pretty much I've said all I need to say today. Conclusion, it would be it's perfectly fine to swap to a dumb phone. It's very inconvenient and you don't have a camera with you or not one that's usable, and texting is slow. But yeah, it's certainly mentally less draining. I've found it much better. I'm much less distracted. So the only thing I would say though is when you enter into, if you go to the post office or you go anywhere where you've got to queue, suddenly you feel very aware of your surroundings, where normally you'd stand in a queue and immediately just get your phone out and have a look on Facebook. So that's what I would say on that. Thank you all for joining me. I am going to leave it there. So thank you very much for watching. This is Handheld Computing. I hope you've enjoyed the channel. This live stream will go up on YouTube and no doubt get demonetized because I put my intro up at the beginning. So we'll see what happens after that. Thank you all for watching. Very much appreciated. Watch on the community page and I will pop up when I'm doing my next live stream. As I say, if lots of interesting things happen between now and then, I will do a quick live stream. Otherwise, it'll be in about 3 weeks to give it a full month with my dumb phone. Thank you again. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.